The global supplement industry is currently a $177 billion behemoth, fueled by one simple promise: health in a bottle. In the United States alone, the average consumer spends over $56 every single month on herbal capsules and synthetic vitamins, often believing these expensive pills are the ultimate shortcut to immunity. But what if I told you that most of those premium herbal extracts are essentially bio-unavailable dust? Recent legal battles have exposed that some of the most popular wellness supplements contain little more than powdered fillers, with active compounds destroyed by industrial heat and long-term storage. Now contrast that with a forgotten 2,500-year-old tradition called Oxymel. Using just 3 raw ingredients, apple cider vinegar, raw honey, and a handful of herbs, costing less than $5, you can create a potent extraction that actually works. While the industry sells you a $55 bottle of immune support that your body barely absorbs, this ancient liquid gold uses a dual-solvent mechanism to unlock deep cellular benefits. Why has this highly effective, dirt-cheap method been buried under a mountain of marketing? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll discover exactly how to bypass the corporate markup and reclaim your health from your own kitchen. In the bustling aisles of high-end health food stores from Los Angeles to London, a silent ritual takes place millions of times a day. Consumers, driven by an innate desire to protect their longevity, reach for sleek, frosted glass bottles filled with herbal capsules. These products are marketed with surgical precision, utilizing minimalist aesthetics and pseudoscientific terminology like bio-optimized, standardized extract, and maximum strength. This is the face of a $177 billion behemoth, an industry that has successfully commodified the basic human instinct for survival. But beneath the glossy labels and the premium price tags lies a sophisticated psychological trap, a convenience tax that most people pay without ever realizing they are being overcharged for an inferior product. The modern supplement industry thrives on the pill for an ill mentality, a legacy of the pharmaceutical era that has been rebranded as wellness. We have been conditioned to believe that health can be distilled into a dry powder, encased in a gelatin shell, and stored on a shelf for 2 years while maintaining its vital essence. This belief system is what allows companies to charge upwards of $60 for a 30-day supply of a single herb. When we buy these bottles, we aren't just paying for the plant. We are paying for the massive marketing budgets, the plastic packaging, the retail markup, and the perceived authority of a corporate brand. It is a brilliant economic model where the consumer provides the profit and the industry provides a convenient illusion of health. However, this convenience comes at a hidden cost that goes beyond the wallet. By outsourcing our health to factory-made capsules, we have severed our connection to the actual biology of the plants we consume. We trust a machine-processed, heat-treated, and chemically stabilized powder more than we trust the raw, living materials found in nature. This disconnect has created a market where potency is measured by milligram weight on a label rather than the actual physiological response in the human body. As we swallow these dry pills with a quick sip of water, we rarely stop to ask, is the life force of this herb still present after months of industrial processing? Or are we simply paying a high-stakes tax for the privilege of feeling like we've checked a box on our daily wellness list? The tension between the promises on the bottle and the biological reality is reaching a breaking point. While the marketing suggests a direct line to vitality, the digestive system often tells a different story. Many of these supplements pass through the GI tract largely unabsorbed, leaving the consumer with expensive urine and a false sense of security. As we continue to invest billions into this system, a glaring contradiction emerges. If these products are so advanced and so powerful, why are chronic health issues and gut dysbiosis continuing to rise at such alarming rates? Perhaps the answer lies not in the lack of supplements, but in the fundamental failure of the delivery system itself. The core contradiction of the modern herbal supplement industry lies in a single inconvenient biological fact. Plants are living pharmacies, but their medicine is not designed to survive the industrial grind. To create the convenient capsule found in every pharmacy, the industry must subject botanical life to a series of violent transformations. First comes the large-scale industrial drying, often involving heat that evaporates volatile oils, the very aromatic compounds that give plants like oregano, peppermint, or ginger their therapeutic punch. Then the plant is pulverized into a fine dust to fit into a standardized gelatin shell. From the moment that cell wall is breached and exposed to oxygen, a countdown begins. Oxidation sets in, and the vibrant, active chemical profile of the herb begins to degrade. By the time a consumer swallows that pill, they are often consuming a botanical corpse, a shadow of the original plant that has lost its enzymatic activity and its most delicate phytonutrients. But the failure isn't just in the processing, it's in the biology of the human gut. Many of the most sought-after compounds in nature, such as the polyphenols in berries or the curcumin in turmeric, are notoriously difficult for the human body to absorb in their raw, powdered form. These molecules are often too large or too tightly bound to the plant's structural cellulose to pass through the intestinal lining. In a lab, a capsule might contain 500 milligrams of an herb, but in the human body, the bioavailability, the amount that actually reaches the bloodstream, can be as low as 3 to 5%. This is the efficiency paradox. The more we process an herb to make it convenient and concentrated, the further we move away from the biological state that our digestive system recognizes and knows how to utilize. We have traded the complex liquid synergy of nature for a dry, isolated powder that our bodies treat as little more than inert fiber. Furthermore, the industry's obsession with standardization often ignores the entourage effect, the scientific principle that a plant's components work better together than in isolation. When a company extracts only one active ingredient to put on a label, they discard the hundreds of cofactors, minerals, and secondary metabolites that nature evolved to help our bodies process that primary compound. Without these natural partners, the isolated extract can become a burden on the liver or simply vanish through the digestive tract without effect. While the marketing suggests that a higher milligram count equals higher potency, the reality of human physiology suggests otherwise. We are currently participating in a global experiment where we pay premium prices for high-potency dust, while the truly potent, living essence of the plant was left behind on the factory floor. The industry knows this, which is why they are constantly searching for new delivery systems, liposomal coatings, chemical enhancers, or synthetic binders, to force these dry powders into our systems. But why are we trying to fix a broken industrial model with more industry when the solution has existed in the kitchen for millennia? The tension here is palpable. We are standing in front of a $60 bottle of pills, hoping for a miracle, while the real biological key to unlocking health is gathering dust in the form of traditional methods that the modern world has deemed too slow. The question is no longer just about whether the supplement works, but about how much of its potential is being sacrificed on the altar of convenience. While the supplement industry relies on mechanical pulverization and heat-intensive standardization, the ancient method of Oxymel operates on a sophisticated principle of liquid alchemy known as dual-solvent extraction. To understand why this 2,500-year-old formula is scientifically superior to a dry capsule, we must look at the molecular level of the plants themselves. Most therapeutic compounds in herbs are locked behind a rigid wall of cellulose and lignin. In a dry pill, your digestive system, which is primarily water-based, struggles to break these walls down before the pill passes through your system. Oxymel solves this through the synergistic chemistry of acetic acid and raw honey. The first key is the acetic acid found in live, unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. Acetic acid is a powerful organic solvent. Unlike plain water, which can only extract water-soluble nutrients, or alcohol, which can be too harsh for certain delicate enzymes, acetic acid is a gentle yet persistent solvent. It excels at drawing out alkaloids, minerals, and bitter principles from plant material. As the herbs sit in the vinegar, the acid begins to soften and dissolve the plant's structural fibers, effectively pre-digesting the herb. This process releases vital minerals like magnesium, calcium, and iron into a liquid state that is immediately recognized and absorbed by the human stomach lining, It transforms a hard-to-digest leaf or root into a bioavailable tonic. Then there is the role of raw honey, the second solvent. Honey is not just a sweetener in this equation. It is a complex biological matrix containing its own set of enzymes, organic acids, and phytochemicals. Honey acts as a preservative and a secondary extraction medium, particularly for volatile oils and aromatic compounds that vinegar might miss. When honey and vinegar are combined, they create a balanced pH environment that stabilizes the extracted nutrients. But the real magic happens in the synergy of absorption. Science shows that the presence of organic acids can increase the solubility of certain phytochemicals, while the natural sugars in honey can act as a delivery vehicle, helping to shuttle these compounds through the intestinal wall more efficiently than a dry, isolated powder ever could. This liquid medium also bypasses the efficiency paradox mentioned earlier. Because the nutrients are already dissolved in a solution, they don't require the body to expend energy breaking down a capsule or hydrating a dry powder. The moment an Oxymel hits your tongue, the sublingual glands begin the absorption process. By the time it reaches the gut, the probiotics from the live vinegar and the prebiotics from the honey are already working in tandem with the herbal extracts. You are not just getting a dose of a single ingredient, you are receiving a living, pre-digested, and biologically active complex. The industry calls its products advanced, but this three-ingredient liquid matrix uses fundamental chemistry to achieve a level of bioavailability that modern manufacturing simply cannot replicate with dry materials. As we peel back the layers of this ancient alchemy, a startling realization emerges. The complexity of the human digestive system was never designed to process sterile, isolated chemical markers. It was designed to interact with whole, liquid-based nutrients that carry the enzymatic signature of life. If the science so clearly favors this integrated approach, one must wonder, why did we spend decades moving away from it? Is the science of the supplement industry truly about efficacy? Or is it merely about creating a product that is easy to ship, easy to store, and easy to sell? The answer becomes even clearer when we look at how these methods were used before the era of mass marketing. History is often written by the victors. And in the world of medicine, the victors of the last century have been the industrial manufacturers. In their rise to dominance, they managed to push a 2,500-year-old biological masterpiece to the fringes of society, labeling it as primitive or outdated. This masterpiece is Oxymel, a name derived from the Greek oxymeli, meaning acid and honey. Long before the first synthetic vitamin was ever pressed into a tablet, the foundations of Western medicine were built upon this liquid gold. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, documented the use of oxymels extensively in the 5th century BCE. He didn't see it as a simple home remedy, but as a sophisticated clinical tool used to clear the lungs, balance the body's humors, and soothe the digestive tract. For millennia, from the bustling Yakukan pharmacies of ancient Asia to the monastic infirmaries of medieval Europe, the combination of fermented acid and raw honey was the gold standard for herbal delivery. The reason for its longevity was practical necessity. In an era without refrigeration or chemical stabilizers, our ancestors had to find a way to preserve the fleeting potency of spring herbs for the long winters. They observed that while a dried plant lost its spirit or aroma, an herb submerged in a mixture of vinegar and honey became more potent over time. This wasn't just folklore. It was an early understanding of chemical stability. The high acidity of the vinegar prevented microbial spoilage, while the high osmotic pressure of the honey inhibited the growth of pathogens. Together, they created a self-preserving matrix that locked in the plant's volatile compounds. In the Ayurvedic traditions of India and the folk medicine of Eastern Europe, these preparations were passed down through generations, not as products to be bought, but as vital life skills maintained within every household. So how did a method that served humanity for 25 centuries disappear almost overnight? The answer lies in the Industrial Revolution and the subsequent birth of the modern pharmaceutical complex. In the mid-20th century, the focus of health shifted from maintenance and prevention to standardization and scalability. A liquid tonic like Oxymel is difficult to mass produce. It requires time to macerate, it varies slightly from batch to batch depending on the soil and the season, and it doesn't fit easily into a standardized shipping crate. The industry needed something sterile, uniform, and shelf-stable. They replaced the living enzymatic liquid with the inert, compressed pill. As we moved into the era of the $177 billion supplement industry, the kitchen was stripped of its medicinal role, and the medicine cabinet was born. We were taught to value the efficiency of the factory over the wisdom of the ferment. Today, as we face a global crisis of gut health and a growing skepticism toward ultra-processed wellness, the secret of Oxymel is being rediscovered. It is a quiet rebellion against the commodification of our well-being. By looking back at how Hippocrates or the village herbalists of the 18th century prepared their remedies, we see a bridge between traditional wisdom and modern biochemistry. This isn't about rejecting science. It's about recognizing that our ancestors had already mastered a form of technology, a biological technology that respects the complexity of the human body. The question remains, as we rediscover this ancient secret, are we ready to reclaim the patience required to brew our own vitality? Or have we become too addicted to the hollow convenience of the capsule? To step away from the $157 billion industrial complex, one does not need a laboratory. One needs a glass jar and the patience of a week's time. The preparation of a traditional Oxymel is less of a manufacturing process and more of a biological ritual, one that respects the integrity of the ingredients rather than forcing them through a centrifuge. The foundational ratio, perfected over centuries, is remarkably simple. 1 part dried herbs, or 2 parts fresh, 3 parts raw honey, and 3 parts unpasteurized apple cider vinegar. However, the true efficacy of this remedy lies not just in the ratio, but in the quality of the living solvents used. The first step in this reclamation is sourcing. Unlike the industry, which uses standardized, often irradiated herbs to ensure a uniform look, the home practitioner seeks vitality. This means using organic, non-irradiated herbs that still possess their aromatic oils. When these herbs are placed in a clean glass jar, they are first covered with raw, local honey. This honey acts as a preservative blanket, immediately beginning the process of osmotic extraction. Following this, the raw apple cider vinegar, complete with the mother, is poured over the mixture. The mother is a colony of beneficial bacteria and enzymes that will continue to interact with the herbal compounds throughout the maceration period. This is a sharp contrast to the sterile, dead environment of a plastic supplement bottle. Here, the medicine is alive and evolving. The ritual then requires a period of darkness and stillness. For 2 to 4 weeks, the jar should sit in a cool, dark place, away from the direct sunlight that degrades phytonutrients. Once a day, the practitioner gently turns the jar, ensuring the herbs remain fully submerged and the solvents are thoroughly mixed. During this time, the acetic acid performs its silent work of breaking down the cellulose, while the honey captures the volatile essences. After the maceration is complete, the liquid is strained through a fine mesh or cheesecloth. What remains is a potent, shelf-stable, and highly bioavailable elixir that tastes of the earth and the hive, a far cry from the chalky, bitter aftertaste of a mass-produced pill. This process is an act of empowerment. When you create your own Oxymel, you are the quality control manager. You know exactly where the honey was harvested, the date the vinegar was fermented, and the origin of the herbs. You have bypassed the corporate markup, the synthetic fillers, and the environmental cost of plastic packaging and global shipping. You have created a remedy that is tailored to your body's needs, whether it's a warming ginger garlic Oxymel for respiratory support or a calming lemon balm lavender blend for the nervous system. By mastering this 3-ingredient ritual, the kitchen is transformed back into a sanctuary of health, proving that true wellness is not something to be purchased from a shelf, but something to be nurtured in the home. While the resurgence of Oxymel offers a powerful alternative to the industrial supplement complex, the transition from consumer to practitioner requires a grounded understanding of biological safety. Reclaiming your health is an act of sovereignty, but it is not without its boundaries. Because Oxymel is a potent extraction of living chemistry, it must be treated with the same respect as any therapeutic substance. The first and most critical caution concerns the choice of honey. For adults, raw honey is a prebiotic miracle. However, for infants under the age of 12 months, it poses a severe risk of botulism. The industrial process often sterilizes honey to the point of biological inactivity, but in a traditional Oxymel, we seek the raw, unheated form, meaning we must strictly observe this age-old pediatric safety rule. Beyond age restrictions, the living nature of the solvents brings its own set of variables. The acetic acid in apple cider vinegar, while instrumental in breaking down plant cellulose, is inherently acidic. For individuals with acute gastric ulcers or advanced acid reflux, the ritual of the daily Oxymel must be approached with caution. It is often recommended to dilute the elixir in warm water or to consume it alongside a meal to buffer the impact on the stomach lining. Furthermore, the very efficacy of the extraction means that certain herbs can interact with pharmaceutical medications. For instance, an Oxymel enriched with ginger or garlic can have mild blood-thinning properties, which may interfere with prescribed anticoagulants. This is where the wisdom of the kitchen must meet the reality of modern medicine. Consulting a healthcare provider who understands botanical chemistry is a vital step for anyone with pre-existing conditions. Finally, the success of the three-ingredient ritual depends entirely on the environment of the fermentation. Because we are not using industrial preservatives or synthetic stabilizers, hygiene is paramount. Jars must be sterilized, and herbs must be completely submerged beneath the liquid line to prevent the growth of surface mold. Practitioners should also be aware of reactive materials. The acetic acid in the vinegar can leach lead or chemicals from low-quality ceramic glazes or plastic containers. Always use lead-free glass and non-reactive lids. By respecting these biological and environmental boundaries, we ensure that our move toward traditional wellness remains a safe and sustainable evolution. We are not just making a drink, we are managing a chemical process, and that management requires a level of mindfulness that the pill for an ill industry never asked of us. The $177 billion supplement industry has spent decades convincing us that health is a commodity, something that must be extracted, standardized, and sold back to us in a sterile plastic bottle. But as we've explored today, the true essence of vitality cannot be easily contained in a dry powder or a heat-treated capsule. By reclaiming a method as simple and profound as Oxymel, you are doing more than just saving $50 a month. You are participating in a quiet rebellion against the convenience tax that has disconnected us from the biological intelligence of the natural world. True wellness doesn't require a corporate seal of approval or an expensive subscription. It requires a return to the kitchen, a respect for the dual-solvent power of fermentation, and the patience to let nature do its work. As you look at your medicine cabinet today, ask yourself, are you paying for a biological miracle, or are you just paying for the convenience of forgetting? If this deep dive into the hidden chemistry of traditional remedies resonated with you, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe to the channel, share your experiences with home fermentation in the comments below, and let's continue to uncover the truths that the modern wellness industry often ignores. It's time to stop being a passive consumer and start being an active participant in your own health. Until next time, respect the ancient ways and rethink your convenience.